Okay, so can you hear me okay?
Can hear you just fine.
All right. So I've been wanting to go live on YouTube for quite a long time with one of these amazing channels that I've been connecting with through the channelingnow.com project. But it's taken me a while to get here, but I'm so glad that Yolanda was game today so that we could get one of these conversations on the books. So Yolanda is a voice channel. She's actually been a friend of mine for a number of years now. We had kind of an interesting connection because we found out we had a lot of mutual friends, and we have been similarly inspired about doing this kind of work of introducing people to their guides, teaching people how to channel. So she is an amazing channeler and has been working for many, many years to help people make this connection for themselves. And she, yeah, has probably been going to the same school that I've been going to in the out of body state. Because when I listen to her talk about her insights and observations, it's like, wow, I know this. This feels familiar. We must have been signed up to the same classes on the inner
I think
plane,
so.
or our guides are like from the same school or something.
I think so. We seem to have that in common. And we actually met in real life as well a few years back. Given
Yeah,
we live in completely separate continents, that was no coincidence in a way, I think, you know?
yeah. I mean, you found me on YouTube, and then we started talking, and it was like, hey,
Yeah.
actually, I come to Melbourne sometimes, and so we were able to like get together, and we had dinner with my partner, and the three of
Yeah.
us went to an event together, and it was awesome.
And the event was 10 minutes away from my house, given it would take you 2 hours to cross the city from one end to the other. 10 minutes? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kind of funny.
yeah. It was
Um,
perfect.
but yeah, I feel like we've had a lot of similar and different stories and experiences that have kind of sort of solidified our friendship, because it's like, we both have this sort of shared love of what we do, and it's not like we do things so differently. We do things quite similarly, and it's just nice having that kinship, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think we also both arrived at the same idea that we wanted to start having these kinds of conversations with other
Yes.
channels, with each
Yes.
other, to bring people into this conversation about what our guides are teaching us. I mean, the channeling process has changed a lot over the years. I know it has for you and it has for me.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of information out there around, messages from guides, and, like guidance. You just go on YouTube and there's just so much wisdom and guidance, but there aren't as many people talking about how people got to that point of giving that guidance. And, like there's a lot of information about how to be a medium or how to develop your psychic abilities, but there's a lot less information on how to develop your channeling. And I'm quite passionate about developing your channeling, and maybe a little bit more so, because I just feel like there's not a lot of people talking about it, you know?
Yeah, I actually hear from people all the time that comment on the things that I've been putting out about the channeling process, and they're like, "Wow, I've listened to a lot of people. I've never heard anyone describe it in that way before." And the thing that is lighting people up is the conversation about just how accessible this is. A lot
Mm.
of people sometimes have this impression that you have to have been born with it, or you're like the chosen one or something
The
before
chosen
stuff,
one.
yeah, before stuff starts to happen.
Yeah.
But it's not like that at all. If you have a really passionate interest in
Yep.
doing this, then
Yep.
you can develop it, because the human body was designed as a conduit, and it's part of our nature to be able to do this. This is
Mm.
what we were designed for. We weren't meant to like go through life and experience these bodies just by ourselves. I mean, the body can be a shared experience in a
Yep.
lot of different ways with our spiritual guides and with other human beings. We learn how to share consciousness, how to
Yes.
connect, how to allow empathy to take us into deeper states of connection with human beings, with plants, with animals. So this is not just about channeling, it's about opening inner senses that are totally natural. And I think the idea of opening to channel is a great vehicle for this exploration of the fact that we have inner senses. beyond the five
Yes,
physical senses that can be developed and that can take you in a lot of different directions.
agree. I think the only little hiccup some people have is we see mostly like on YouTube and stuff, we see channelers sort of showing up in one form, like you and me, for example, who are getting out of the way and going into a trance and bringing through guides. But one thing people don't realize is not all channelers are voice channelers. Some channelers channel in very different ways. And I agree with you, we all have this innate ability. But the question is, well, how is that an innate ability for us? Like, what does that look like for every person individually? Because not everybody is meant to be a voice channeler like us. I think if everyone became a voice channeler like you and me, the world would be kind of a boring place, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm seeing with people channeling expressing itself in different forms. And so it is about letting go of the notion that channeling is only through, trance channeling or voice channeling, because it's not. It comes across in so many other different ways. So I think we are going to discuss that a little bit more in this call, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean, channeling is not just channeling spiritual guides. I mean, spiritual
it's not.
guides can be involved in any form of channeling, but
Yep.
doesn't mean you have to necessarily be aware of who your guides are or specifically
Absolutely.
how they're helping you, because your guides just want to bring out the best in you. So if you're an artist, they're going to help you to channel your creativity as an artist,
Yeah.
whether you're creating artwork, whether
Yep.
you're a musician, you're a dancer,
Yeah.
you
Or
learn how to get in sync with a
yes.
flow of creative energy and manifestation energy that is coming through your soul as a channel. And your guides
Yeah.
are just helping to enhance that, to help you step into it and get in tune with yourself.
And it's amazing the number of writers I've met who have written a book, and the book is entirely in their voice and it's entirely the way they write. But there are parts in it where they're like, I don't remember writing that. Or that was just amazing that piece that came through, and it's in their voice and it's their style. And they, it doesn't sound like some wise being up in the clouds channeling through. It sounds like them, it looks like them, but they're like, I don't remember writing that. And wow, that was amazing. So channeling doesn't have to sound like our guides. We don't have to consciously even connect into them to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they're also not interested in taking credit. It's not
No,
like
they're
they
not.
want to be able to say like, "Oh, that was me."
And
No,
and
they don't care if we're getting all of the credit for a creative work that they helped
absolutely.
collaborated with us on. They're just
And
happy that
exactly.
it
And
got done.
you and I both channel guides, both our own and other people's. And I know in your case, you will introduce the guide so that the person knows who they're talking about. I actually don't introduce guides anymore. I used to, mostly because they don't really feel the need to. It's like, oh, they already know my energy. They already know who I am. They don't need to know me on a first name basis. So it feels almost counterproductive to spend 10, 15 minutes introducing themselves so that you can recognize their energy and their signature. It's nice to know that information, but they're kind of like, but we work with you already. We connect with you already. And so let's just keep doing what we're already doing.
Yeah, so how has your channeling work evolved over time? I mean, I think that's one of the most interesting topics here is, how was it in the beginning versus how is it
Yeah,
now? Were there phases that you went through or stages of
absolutely.
this development process? And can you identify any of those stages that you've seen other people go through? I mean, do you ever sit down with a person that you're working with, maybe somebody that's like an ongoing client that's working on developing this for themselves? And can you tell that they're in a specific stage and when they've
Yes,
crossed over into another stage?
absolutely. Now, obviously, I've noticed sort of two general themes is that some people, they start channeling and they get a team, and that's it. That's who they channel for the rest of whatever. For example, like Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham, she just channels Abraham. That's it. She's got a contract with that team. Some people have contracts to work with, connect with a particular team. I've never had such contract. As a result, when I first started channeling, I just had a voice pop in, and it's like, oh, hello, who are you? And that was then subsequently followed by another voice. Oh, hello, who are you? And another and another. And for many years, I channeled whoever showed up and introduced themselves. They do a quick intro, and then off I'd go and channel them. And I have seen this with some clients. They are more open to channeling whoever shows up, and maybe certain beings are showing up repeatedly. Like maybe there's 5 or 6 and different ones are doing the talking at different times. And that can change, or it could sort of relatively stay the same. But for me, though, it's been a bit of a journey because I did that for years, and it really opened me up to exploring and connecting with different energies, galactic energies, collective energies, angelic energies, elemental energies, earthy energies, and to become almost like familiar with the who's who of the spiritual world, which was really, really good. Once I had that down pat, though, and I use that also to grow and develop as a channeler, because, you're learning different things from different beings. And so that's one of the advantages. One of the I wouldn't call it a disadvantage, but one of the things I started to really struggle with was I kind of want to just really develop my channel with one solid team and really just take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually ended up happening with the birth of my son. I kind of went through this change where I'm like, I don't want to channel whoever shows up. I want to channel one team and really develop a relationship with them. And interestingly enough, what came in for me at that time was Mother Mary and Guan Yin, the 2 ascended masters, as well as a group of Venusian mothers. Now I'm a new mother, and I'm really struggling as a new mother. And I have all of these mothers come in to help. And they really helped me through my motherhood journey. And interestingly enough, all those I was coming into contact with, booking in with me, were all mothers themselves. Young mothers, young kids struggling to be a mother, and just with the challenges and just needing some support. But when I kind of, moved through those challenges with them and their support, I actually had a collective come in that I channeled for about 1.5 years. And that was it. I thought, oh, I have my Abraham Hicks. This is my collective. They were a collective of 6-dimensional Venusians called Kenora Sun, and I absolutely loved them. They took my work to the next level. And again, there's been these stages, right, where each group does something different. And this collective really brought in my sort of the level of work I work at now, which is all about growth focused and, evolving ourselves, really developing ourselves, and up leveling ourselves. That really came in with this group. But once all of that had gotten plugged in and put into place, they left. And so what I really feel for some people, and this has been my journey, is quite often we have different guides come in this interchangeability thing, because what they are doing is helping us to do it ourselves, right? They are teaching us how to do this ourselves. They are not here to do it for us. They are doing it for us while showing us simultaneously how to do this ourselves, because as things get plugged in, as things get opened, as things get cleared, they finish their job and we then have access. So if you've been channeling the angelics, which I know you channel the angelics a lot, they're opening up doorways and pathways for you to be able to access that energy, access those frequencies, even, connect into that sort of way of seeing the world without necessarily having to channel an angelic, because they've opened that, connected you into that.
Yeah. It's like they impart certain lenses through which to view reality, and then it just becomes a part of you. But I think it's fascinating how different masters and guides, they keep giving you exercises in different ways, and it changes all the time. Like I was just thinking about this time that I was sitting down to channel for a group of people in Oregon, and I was going into meditation, and a particular ascended master was showing up, and I knew he was going to be the one that I was going to channel. But it's like he was kind of hovering slightly out of my body, and I was like, what are you waiting for? And he said, I want you to pull me in. He wanted me to use my consciousness to sort of grab a hold of him and pull his energy into my body by sort of grounding it. And I was like, well, I've never done that before. And he was trying to show me that I could, that I
Yeah.
could pull in energy in a certain way. And they're always teaching us how to do different kinds of
Yes.
things with our inner senses, with our intentions that we didn't know
Yes.
how to do before.
Because if we stay fixed and this is, oh, this is how it's going to be, it's not how it's meant to be. They are always trying to sort of stretch us and show us new things and give us new skills. We just don't always realize that's what's happening. Sometimes we look at it and going, why are you making this so hard? And it's like, they're not. They're just trying to work with us to stretch us and develop us and help us to become our best selves.
And that's exactly it. It's a stretch. They will stretch us, but
They do.
I think well before people get to the stage where your guides are always like sort of stretching you beyond what you have experienced before, there's other stages. Like I feel like there's an experimentation phase that
Oh,
happens
yes.
where people are experimenting with what works,
Yep.
experiment, and the guides are also experimenting with you and
Yes.
helping you to find your particular mode of channeling, your way of doing it. And there's
Yep.
a lot of different things that people can try to find out what works.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think the experimental phase is the most important. And if you're coming in of this, oh, let's be curious. How does this work? Come in with the energy of curiosity and let's just have some fun. Let's just play. Let's just see what happens. Do it with a friend. It's amazing what you discover. Honestly, I am as far along on my journey as I am, mostly because I didn't do this alone. Mostly because I had a good friend and I was like, can I just try this thing? I want to try this thing. Can I practice this thing? And my friend was like, oh, okay. Hey, I want to try this thing too. And it's just amazing what you can discover when you approach it like a child that just wants to be curious and playful.
Yes, and channeling is fun. But
Channeling is fun.
what I love about what you just said, though, is that when you get a couple of people together, it it almost creates a stronger container for the energy of the
It
guides,
does.
because they will help strengthen the rapport between the two of you, and then there's a kind of an excitement that can build. And it's hard to describe, but it just feels like whenever you have two people that are doing it together, that are going on that adventure together, then the guides are able to do something with that. A lot of
Yes.
times you take turns between who's the receiver and who is the transmitter,
Yeah,
but you're both anchoring the channel. It's
you
really,
are.
in a sense, one channel at that point, because both of your channels combine and the guides are working with you as
Yeah.
one channel. And they actually even see you as one being. From their level of consciousness, we're all one
Yeah.
being. So they see you as two aspects of a singularity that they are addressing as a group consciousness in certain ways.
And can I just add to this for those people listening that are like, oh, you're kind of talking about voice channeling again. It doesn't have to be that way. I have joined groups and I've held a writing group where everyone comes together and we hold an intention that for the next 10 minutes, we're going to connect in and we're going to just try and do some automatic writing together, some creative writing together, connecting in with a theme that we've just had the inspiration to write about. So just know that if you don't channel like us, you can still practice and play through writing, through art, through even just energy work that you may know if you can't channel, but you do some energy work, connect into your guides. There is so much they can teach you. I mean, a lot of people, they learn Reiki or one of those energy things. To me, I just want to say Reiki really opens up your channel to more than just Reiki. And I'm not
Yeah,
talking bad stuff, but I'm feeling Reiki is a perfect thing to clear that channel so that your own energy can come through, new energies can come through, and your guides really work with that channel. So if you're an
absolutely.
energy healer that wants to develop channeling, well, play. What happens when you put your hands here? What happens when you call in your guide's energy and just be fluid, be flexible, and just be curious? What happens
Well,
with the
interesting that
group?
you brought that up, because that's kind of how my readings actually got started. In the beginning, I started doing Reiki, And I just noticed that there were things that would come to me. I would observe things energetically. There were messages that would come. And the readings that I give now started actually as sort of tidbits that I would share at the end of an energy session. And I would
Yep.
share, okay, hey, this is what was coming up for you. And I noticed that over the course of many, many sessions, I started to develop some of the skills of discerning energy, and I would recognize which guides were showing up for a person. All of that was happening silently as a form of silent training. And then gradually it morphed, and I started giving people kind of a mini reading afterward. It wasn't just like I'm sharing tidbits, then it turned into a little bit of a reading. And then at a certain point, the whole thing flipped around, and I would give the channeled reading first and then have the person get on the table, and then I would do the energy work that would complement what was coming through the reading. And the channeled reading brought in the energy of the guide, so that the guide was actually working on them through my body by that point. And it was just amazing to see how that evolution took place.
It's so good. And one thing I've just personally noticed with my own clients, those who've done Reiki 1 and 2 are already so much open and learn so much faster and just are able to develop their own channeling that much easier, better, faster with Reiki 1 and 2, as opposed to people who don't have Reiki. It just seems like more work is needed to clear those channels first. Now, I'm not saying Reiki does the whole thing or Reiki does the whole job. Even if you have a Reiki master's, it doesn't mean you're completely cleared. But gosh, it takes a lot of the work away from me having to work on clearing your channel. So no, if you've done Reiki, it's accessible, it's easy. You can do it so many different places now. But it is definitely a tool you can use to get kind of a bit of a head start in opening up to whatever way it wants to work through you. Like you said, whether that's energy work or messages or even art, it's just.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good thing for people to know that if you want to learn how to channel, you can maybe go out and find a course that teaches channeling, but also learning Reiki first as a starting point is an excellent way to go. Yeah.
Yep. And finding the right channeling course, there's a lot less of them, but Reiki is everywhere, Reiki is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's take this back around to, how different we all channel. Like I've sort of shared my story about how I've had this evolution of channels, or of who I channel. But I've also had a real evolution in how I channel, even though I am a voice channel and I've consistently been a voice channeler. I wanted to talk about this because for me, the way the energy has flowed has changed over the years. Have you noticed that as well?
Yes, because I used to channel a lot through my head, through my third eye, everything was coming through here, and then coming through. But as I have done more healing work on myself, and as my guides have supported me to unlock more of my emotional body, my empathic ability has come online more, then now it's become a much more of a full body experience.
I'm exactly the same, but in the beginning, I wasn't aware of this at the time, but I used to come from the left, the top left, and it would come kind of in and then through, and then it would kind of get stuck around just below the heart. And I felt like the channeling itself was quite surface layer as well. Like it was nice and it was great messages, but it didn't have the full body depth, I guess you could say. But again, that was more me having to clear my channels. And for me, my channel was blocked from the sacral chakra downwards because I had issues being on this planet. I didn't feel safe here. I didn't feel safe to channel here. I didn't like being outside. I was like, ooh, outside, ooh, bugs. I was not a grounded person. I was a huge space cadet because I felt safer out there. And I had to spend, and I don't want to put people off when I say this, but it took me years. I spent probably 2 really good, solid years devoted to grounding and being here on this planet and clearing all of my reasons why I don't want to be here. I am a very grounded person. And that was able to really bring in a new depth and full body experience of the channeling. For me, my issues was with the earth. And I've seen, interestingly, some people who are the opposite. They feel very safe on this earth, and out there is like, that's scary. I don't want to go out there. And so you see this energy start to flow up from the earth, and it gets up here, and it's like, ooh, it starts to peter, and there's third eye blocks, there's crown chakra blocks, there's throat blocks. And then we're having to work on the upper chakras to get the upper chakras opened.
Well, it's interesting you say this, because when you start to go down this path of learning how to channel, it's also the path of clearing a channel. Never
Oh,
mind like
yes.
what types of guides you might be working with, or how the channeling
Absolutely.
process might evolve. But in order to do it in the first place, it becomes a journey of clearing and opening your chakras,
Yeah.
which can be clearing of ancestors, clearing, balancing karma,
Yep.
integrating life lessons in various ways, clearing childhood trauma. That can all go hand
Absolutely.
in hand. But
It's a
what's cool
journey.
about this is that nobody really has to clear all of that stuff up
Yep.
and get rid of all the blockages for the channeling to work. What I've
Yeah.
found is that
Absolutely.
the guides can always come through. They work with
Absolutely.
whatever you bring to the table. And the process of developing as a channel is the process by which you're allowing higher dimensional guides to come in and help you address all of those things that will open everything up, So,
Exactly. And can
yeah.
I just say, my own self personally, when I first channeled, I was 25 years old, and I was living in a country that was triggering me daily. It was bringing up a lot of repressed anger. And I had a lot of unresolved trauma with my father. And I had a lot of anger towards my father. And I was a very, very, very angry person, probably the angriest person I knew at that time. And I still channeled for the first time. And through the process of that channel opening, it became very clear pretty quickly. You got to work on your anger, and a lot of my focus then, as part of the clearing and the opening of the channel, was working on a lot of these repressed emotions. And I just feel like this channeling has been like a journey for me. The longer I've channeled, the more it's opened up possibilities and more like opportunities for me to resolve things like, and childhood things, ancestral things that have impacted my channeling, other lifetime things that have impacted my channeling, and even my relationship to the world around me has changed
Yeah.
because as we develop our channels, everything kind of comes in to be worked on and cleared at some point, which is it's such a comprehensive journey of following the channeling path.
Yeah. Well, you touched on something else where you said, that you had some issues with the earth that had to be addressed. And
Yes.
I'm probably more in that category. I remember a time when I went through a process of healing my relationship with the earth. And I had a friend, and she asked me, like, hey, do you want to just like go lay in this field? It's kind of what I do for my daily break to get off the computer. I was like, yeah, sure. And we went and just laid down in this field on a blanket. I mean, we each had our own. And while I was lying there, I heard the earth speak to me. And I realized that I had not heard the earth speak to me in a very, very long time. And it was so clear, and it was interesting because the earth spoke in plain English. And it's like, wow,
It
this is actually
does,
the
doesn't
earth
it?
just talking to me. And
Telepathically through your mind.
yes, and the earth said, trust me. And that spoke to all those places inside of me where my trust had been broken for some reason.
Mhm.
And just with those two words, there was a whole transmission that came in that showed me that, whatever reasons I had developed for not trusting the earth, they were not good reasons. There were distortions in there. I needed to let
Yep.
that stuff go. And all it took was just the invitation. It's like, okay, I'll trust you again. Obviously, I went off somewhere. Something went wrong in my relationship with the earth because I blamed the earth for something, and it was probably like the destruction of Lemuria or something like that. But I was like, okay, I forgive you because this energy connection I'm feeling with the earth just feels too good. So okay, let's just do this. And then
Yep.
everything got better.
Yeah. Wasn't quite that simple for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, by the way, we're
Mine
gonna
was.
have to have some conversations about like the destruction of Lemuria and some of these things that actually have made it very difficult for some people to
Yes.
go into this deeper relationship with the earth.
Yep.
Destruction of
Yep.
these previous civilizations actually has, done quite a number on some people in their journey to heal their channels. And so
Mm.
sometimes some of that stuff does need to get cleared out
A
and
common one I
addressed in some way.
see, a common one I see come up a lot is past life stuff, either tribal, where there's a certain belief system of like you have to keep the earth happy or she will get vengeful and I don't know, start a
Oh yeah.
wildfire, bushfire, and you're just destroy your whole village. Or there's that sort of tribal stuff, and then there's this sort of Christian, like religious side of things, quite often where there's all sorts of stuff with the sort of the witch side of things and the
Yeah, and the
Christian side of
Inquisition,
things. And
all that. Yeah.
yeah, and like even like God provides and not the earth, um so I found with me personally there was a lot of Christian stuff in there. With other clients there's been a lot of tribal stuff in there that also we just don't consciously think today, or we don't consciously realize, or but it's kind of buried there when you go a little bit deeper below the surface, because that's the thing, 80% of us is unconscious, and so much is swimming around there that we just have no idea, and it has a very sometimes subtle and sometimes very not subtle impact in our lives without us being able to necessarily understand, well, why do I feel that way, or why do I have this irrational fear that the earth is gonna like bite me?
Yeah. Well, I have had lots of experiences of uh, kind of trauma from past lives coming up in the presence of people that played a role in how
Yeah,
those traumas got created. And I think it's when you make the decision to clear yourself that a lot of times you start to draw in people that can stimulate those memories and things to come to the surface so that they
yep.
can be cleared. But you just have to be ready for it. You have to be ready to take whatever fear or terror or sensation or whatever is bubbling up, and to examine it from a perspective of, okay, why did I need this experience to happen? What is this here to teach me? And you just keep asking guides to
Absolutely.
come in and help you and reveal the truth to you as to why this is actually helping you to evolve in some way.
So true, because it all is, and it all serves a purpose, and there's no coincidence what comes up. Like it really is. And when, like the timing, like things you think, this wasn't an issue before, it comes up for a reason, because it's like where you're at in your journey right now. And that's the thing. Might not always feel like it, but what comes up is what we can handle. And even though it might not always feel like we can even handle that, because sometimes it is so overwhelming, some things are really, really big. But when we move through the other side of it, we do feel, like not only have we moved through a lot of stuff, but we are in a better place, and we are in a
Yeah.
more receptive place, and we're quite often in a sensitive place. When you move through that hard stuff, that does really allow us to open to more, to do more, to
Yeah. I want to ask you a question about something, but first I wanted to say to the people that are tuning in, if you have questions, please post them in the comment section, because we'll both come take a look. And
yeah.
we're not answering questions live this time, but I'd love to address some of the questions coming up. I wanted to ask you if you have ever had experiences where guides or your angels or masters or whatever have orchestrated something on the physical plane that was very clearly obvious that they had arranged something to happen in a way that made it clear that they are able to affect physical reality and organize and orchestrate things and create synchronicities. Is there anything that comes to mind? Something that
um
happened that.
I You might have had something. Nothing is really coming to mind, but I will say that I have noticed in recent times, for example, that my digestion will just go funny. It's like, hang on, why is my digestion going funny? And it's like, oh, there's something stuck there that wasn't, well, it was always there, but it wasn't an issue. And now it's like it's coming to the surface to be resolved, and suddenly my digestion's off and I'm feeling these emotions and I'm working through these emotions that weren't an issue last week, but suddenly they're an issue this week because something is,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
happened to me. Because, like, for example, I will be guided, go here, do this, and then boom, all up comes these emotions. I was guided there. Why was I guided there? Why would you do that to me? Well, it's for a reason. And you start to work through that stuff, and out goes the emotions, and the digestion just kind of goes back to normal. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that reminds me. I was guided somewhere specific once, and it brought up so much pain to go to this place, and it kind of took me by surprise because the whole time I was driving there,
Yeah.
I didn't think that this was going to happen. But once I got there, I felt so much pain in my heart, and I was like, "Why did you do this? Why did you guide me here?"
Yep.
And it was to actually let go of the thing that was creating the pain, because it was an attachment based pain. And the guys were, I mean, it was really, to me, it was my divine source was doing this to
Yeah.
open my heart so that I would be able to receive source vibration as pure love and not have anything else that I was putting in front of that. So it was
Yeah.
actually a huge clearing when that happened.
I got to say this, and this isn't easy to say, but a lot of times people want to connect into their guides so that their life can get easier, and so that they can have more flow and more joy and more this. And as someone who wanted that myself,
Hmm.
I got to say that's great and it's nice, and they do bring more joy and more flow. But to be honest, if that's all you're focused on, you're not going to grow, and
Yeah.
you're not going to grow, and you're not going to develop, and life actually isn't going to be nicer or easier, because you're going to be kind of almost stuck in a surface level life is fine. So I know that we want to escape our challenges and we want to have easier, more flowing lives. But actually, the more we look at why our lives aren't nice and why our lives aren't flowing, the more we naturally, innately tap into that flow and that joy. We don't do it by trying to avoid it or disconnect from it. We actually achieve it through being just completely open to the process and having our guides support us and work with our guides to
Right.
move through the process itself. There's so much more wisdom and learning through being present to the best of our abilities through the challenges than asking our guides to take the challenge away or to stop making our lives so hard, you know?
Yeah, and I love what you're saying about this, because this is one of the things I teach about channeling. Like, if you want to develop a strong connection with guidance, you want to be interested in spiritual growth, because that's what
Yeah.
a lot of what your guides have the potential to bring you. If you're not interested in, the full range of
Yeah.
what they have to offer, if you're only in it just to kind of entertain yourself with the possibility, then
Yes.
it doesn't create as strong a connection, I feel, than when you want to learn how to get out of your own way, when you want to address the real issues that are holding you back in life.
Yep.
That creates breakthroughs in channeling, because
Yep.
it's a desire for growth that activates the connection to another level. And anyone can learn how to channel, and there's lots of people that don't even know what they might need to work on, and that develops along the way. But a
Yep.
passion, interest in growth absolutely is the way to go. And then all of your channeling
Absolutely.
is kind of like, streamlined into that area, right?
Yep. And I will say, because I feel like I put a bit of a downer into this conversation, that for me, by being present through the stuff that has come up and things like that, my life has got so much more flow. I am a much happier person. But more importantly, through going through those processes, I have developed an inner strength and a strong connection to, the spirit world, that I feel so strongly supported that no matter what the universe throws at me, I'm going to be okay. I feel strong. I feel in my power. I feel supported
Mhm.
because I have worked continuously through all that stuff and developed that and developed that and developed that, right? It's kind of like going to the gym. It hurts, but you get stronger and you're better for it.
Yeah.
And you manage life. You're healthier, you're happier. You can do more because of it. And you are in a better place because you've gone through the hardship of going to the gym and lifting those weights and walking away going, ow, that really hurts. It's like a muscle. You develop it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And a lot of the really deep, intense work is not really what happens right in the very beginning. You do kind of get
No, it
sucked
doesn't.
into it, but the way that I use channeling now is way different than I used to use it before, because now I might feel that there is something holding me back in life, like truly something that is getting in the way of my full potential, and I need to be able to see it,
Yep.
like to see past my own blind spot, especially I utilize the help and support of coaches, of mentors, of gurus, of friends, people around me that care about me reaching my full potential and becoming the best version of myself that I can be. And so if I have people telling me that I have a blind spot, then I will take that into meditation with my guides and I will say, show me my
Yep.
blind spot, show me what this is about. What am I holding on to or avoiding or not seeing or willfully denying that is holding me back? And with the information that people give me, that's kind of a starting point. And then the guides take it from there. And then when you're really intently focused on brutal honesty with yourself, they can show you the most amazing things. They can take you into repressed memories. They can take you uh, into a clearing of old traumas. They can help you realize agreements you made with yourself or with others that were harmful to you, that need to be broken and transmuted and released. I mean, I did some agreement breaking this morning that it blew my mind when I remembered some of the agreements that I made as a child that were trauma based to protect myself, and things I was attached to that were not serving me. I had not seen any of that clearly until this very morning, at least on a particular topic in a particular relationship. And when I got that clarity, it was like, wow, I am so glad that I have this kind of support in my life, that I can
Yeah.
actually channel awareness and
Yep.
get behind my own blind spots and do something about it. But we also, in order to really do spiritual growth, we need each other as human beings too.
Agree.
Yeah.
But can I add to that?
Mhm.
Because, for me in the beginning, when I first started channeling, it was fun. Like, oh, finally, I have access to all of these questions I've been wanting to know for years. And that was one of the good things about channeling. We are able to open up to things we didn't know or, connect into cool little facts. But again, as we were talking about on the journey, it goes deeper into this stuff. But it's not just all the heavy stuff. And that's the thing, right? Channeling, yes, it can give you insights into what's coming up. And it kind of makes channeling sound a bit heavy and it gets kind of heavy and it gets kind of hard. Yes, but also no, because one thing I find with my channeling is it's not just all work. There's also a play element that makes it fun. Like, I'll give you a recent example. On Friday in my channeling, I was meeting a friend and it was like, go to this park and go to this tree. And we went to this tree and we just had this really fun night of like connecting into the tree and bringing in some sort of fun messages, and some inspiration came through, some inspiration to go away and do this, and some inspiration to go and do that, and to just shift ourselves into just, and we just had the funnest night. So yes, channeling can be heavy and it's brings you into your stuff, but channeling can also really enhance your experience and open your experience and really be a lot of fun. And it's
Yeah.
not, it's work and play, you know?
It's work and play, but even, what you're describing as heaviness, that is actually what the guides are there to help address so that you can release
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, but I love having those times when you're just in co-creation with the guides and it feels
Yes.
like they sort of helped plan an evening with you. and
Yes.
the synchronicities are just flowing. So I love when
And
that
and
happens.
I see this all the time, where there's, people are seeing angel numbers and they bump into someone and then they bump into someone else, and there's all of these synchronicities and they just have so much fun. And it's just like a really nice, or they just received what they were needing. And I just feel like there's a lot of love from our guides. And the more we're connecting in, the more they love to just show us that they love us in fun little unique ways like that,
Yeah, did I ever tell you about the first wish list I ever made with the angels?
No.
This was when I first had my very first breakthrough in channeling, and I knew I have guides. I know at least one of their names. I know that I am going to start channeling. And so I started writing letters to the guides. And in the beginning, I wrote a wish list like, okay, I have guides and they're real willing to help me. So, okay, this is what I want. And so I wrote down all these things like, I want to see the Great Pyramids in Egypt and I want this and that to happen. And down at the bottom of the list somewhere, I wrote that I would love to bump into this particular person that I had not seen in years, and I had no idea how to look them up, didn't have a phone number, did not know anything about how to make the connection happen. And this is back before the internet was big, back before we all had smartphones. There was no social media. It's like if I was going to meet somebody in the city, I had to do it intuitively.
Yep.
Interestingly, on a side note, I have discovered many times it is very possible to intuitively meet somebody that you want to meet if you don't have their number. You can just sort of intend, and then if they're agreeing
Yeah.
to it, bam, it happens. So
Bump into each other at the
yeah,
supermarket.
but this happened the very night that I wrote this down. I was like, hey, angels, I would love to bump into this person. I wrote down their name, and that very night I ran into them.
There you
And
go.
so that's how I knew that they are able to arrange things. They must have told this person like, "Hey, they want to get in touch with you. If you want to get in touch with them, be at this club on
Yeah.
this night and it's going to happen." So,
If it's for the highest good of all,
yeah.
because I see this a lot, and maybe you've seen this a lot. Angels, help me win the lottery. And then
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
win
yeah.
the lottery. Well, that's a bit of a tricky one. Because quite
Yeah.
often there's a lot of growth and learning there that winning the lottery would take away.
Yeah,
And you
so
wouldn't
I think
have.
in terms of a wish list though,
Yes.
make a wish list that's pretty big and include some things that are like, big, small, medium, as a manifestation wish
Yeah.
list. And then, when something happens, take note of it and realize that, you've
Yeah.
got a higher self that's working on your behalf. You've got guides working on
Absolutely.
your behalf. And a lot of times, if you sit down to make a wish list, you're actually going to be channeling parts of your own soul's blueprint for your life. And you're just going to be getting
Yeah.
clear about what it is you're aligning with.
And there may be some really valuable things you can only gain through not winning the lottery.
Right.
And so your
Yeah.
higher self is going to be like, well, if you win the lottery, that's just game over then. Like, you might as well just, it's like, you're not getting all of these valuable things you came to earth to get. And
Yeah.
now you got to go back to square one, or something
There's
like that.
another kind of winning the lottery, and it's when you get a spiritual key. And a
Yeah,
spiritual key a golden key drops into your mind, into your life, and
absolutely.
anchors. That to me is winning the lottery.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we've covered really a lot of things here. We've gone over so many different aspects of this, and I think it's
Yeah.
a really solid, introduction
Yep.
to some of the other interviews that I would like to do on this channel and on channelingnow.com. So
Yep.
those of you that have been tuning in, please leave us a comment, like this video. If you want to see more of these kinds of interviews, then please participate on the channel, in the community that we're developing here, because we want to do more of this. And Yolanda, we're definitely going to see more from you, I feel. And
Absolutely.
we've talked about the possibility of having you even as like a guest interview as things develop,
Yep.
a guest interviewer. So that,
Interviewer. Yes.
yeah, so that she might be interviewing some of the people that I've curated for the Channeling Now project. And so you'll see, some interviews from me, some from her on the website. We haven't quite worked out what we're doing yet, but
Yeah, we'll get there.
we're brainstorming and we're figuring it out.
Yes. So, final message. Let's each give a final message. My
Sure.
final message to you, the listeners, is play, experiment, have fun, and find your unique way of channeling, your unique way of expressing energy, your unique way of connecting to source and allowing source or whatever your guides to flow through you. Find your way. Don't copy someone else's way, because we are all built uniquely and we all have our own unique way of channeling. Like we said, like Saryon and I were top down to start. Some people are bottom up, some are inside out, outside in, some come from the left, some have a voice in their head, whatever. Find your way and play with it, experiment with it, and have fun. It's meant to be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
And
my
I would
message. Saryon, what's
Yeah,
yours?
I would say like just keep the earth in focus. Whether you're
Yes.
doing Reiki energy work, whether you are opening to channel, connect with the earth. Allow the earth to support your channel to open, because there are things that Mother Earth can do to help open and clear and heal your chakras. And as soon as you start to step into this game more of stepping into your nature as a conduit, Mother Earth is there to support that. And if you bring
Mhm.
that into focus right in the beginning, it will go very well.
We are here on Earth for a reason.
Yeah. Well, thank
Well,
you
it
all for
was,
tuning in, and
thank
many
you for tuning
blessings
in.
to everyone. And we will